Jesus says, I'm knocking on your door and I want to come in and have supper with you. I'm sitting on a kind of a veranda. The only problem with it, we don't have the switch to turn on the fan, but there's a gentle breeze blowing. I'm out of the sun. It's supposed to get like in Charlotte today, like 106. It's a heat index, whatever that is. And so I'm sat here and I'm refreshed, and I want to bring you a refreshing word from the Word of God. Let me just read this. Zion said, listen to this, Zion. That is, for those of you who keep up the news, you know the people that are anti-Zionist. Well, anybody that's an anti-Zionist is also an anti-Jew, anti-Semitic, and anybody that's anti-Semitic is also anti-Christian, and they're basically rebelling against the Word of God. And if that offends you, then I would advise you to ask God what He thinks about your prejudice and your racism. But anyway, Zion said, "The Lord has forsaken me. The Lord has forsaken me." I'd say there's a lot of Jewish hostages right now that are in captivity right now in Gaza who's saying, God has forsaken me. I'd say there's a lot of soldiers in foxholes, not only Russian soldiers, but Ukrainian soldiers that say, God has forsaken me. I'd say there's a lot of single parents right now that are saying, God has forsaken me. I'd say there's a lot of people saying, God has forsaking me. I remember when I was a young man, I was an officer in the United States Navy, and my ship broke down. And so we had to go into a port. We had to fix that thing. And so it came time for us to go out for sea trials. And that meant that the ship would go out, but there's just one problem. They were expecting some supplies to come. And so guess who got to go on shore and get those supplies? We had tomatoes, we had cucumbers, we had beets, we had all kinds of vegetables. We were in Athens, Greece. And I remember sitting down there, and I had 4 enlisted guys with me, and we were just sitting there and we saw our ship disappear over the horizon. It was gone. And there we were. We didn't have a passport, we didn't have a wallet, we didn't have money, we didn't have anything. And by that time, the food had not been delivered. And so he looked at me, one of the guys looked at me and said, "Are they going to come back for us, Mr. Brown?" And so I laughed for a minute, and about that time, the supply truck drove up, and he had bread, he had vegetables, he had meat, he had all kinds of things. I said, "Oh, yeah, if they're going to eat, they're going to have to come in here." So we had all of that stuff in there, and we knew our ship would come back. So has God forsaken you? No. He's sending you right now a feast to say, I've not forsaken you. I'm coming again. I'm going to take you into myself, and I'm preparing a place for heaven. Don't despair. Don't get discouraged. Zion, the Lord has forsaken me, and the Lord has forgotten me. Can I say it one more time? I know you're going to hear it over and over. God has not forgotten you. God has not forsaken you. God has not forgotten you. I'm a chaplain at the airport here in Charlotte. It's not a paid position. It's just volunteer. And every once in a while, we'll get a notice from security that somebody has either lost their Alzheimer's parent or somebody that has Alzheimer's has lost them, or they've lost their child. I've sat and watched children walk off from their parents who had gotten distracted. God's not been distracted. God's focus is upon you. God does not have ADD. He is focused on you, and He's not forgotten you. So the Lord has forsaken me. The Lord has forgotten me. And so Isaiah says something interesting. I want you to listen to this. Can a woman forget her nursing child and have no compassion on the son of her womb? Even these may forget but I will not forget you. Now, this is not an abortion passage. I know abortion is a plague upon our world, but it's not an abortion package. God says, can a woman forget her nursing child? Yep, they can. It's not natural, it's not normal, but they can. It is normal, instinctual, it is normal for a woman to want to nurse her child, to have that child close to her breast, and to hold that child, and to feed that child, and to love that child, and to bond with that child. Yes, a mother can do that, but God won't. God won't. He wants to nurse you. He wants to provide for you. He wants to hold you to his chest. He wants to love you. He wants to walk with you. He wants to make you not only his own, but let you know that he is there and he made you his own. Even and have no compassion on the son of her womb. These may forget, but God says, nah, I will not forget you. And it's so cool and so nice here. Can I go just one more? He says, but behold, I have inscribed you on the palm of my hands. Your walls are continually before me. I remember when I was in seminary, I was studying in a book on Isaiah, studying Isaiah under Dr. Clyde Francisco, and he read that passage. I remember, and he looked out at us. There were about, I'd say 60 of us in that room. He says, you think that God has called you to preach, but here you are in seminary, and God has forgotten you. I promise you, God knows where you are. God knows what you're doing. God knows how you're acting. And God has placed you here to prepare you for ministry in the gospel of Jesus Christ. And he says, so God is here, and God knows where you are. But if you don't know that, that's not going to encourage you. So you need to understand. Let's just believe God right now that he knows who you are, that he knows what's going on, and that he loves you. And he has compassion over you right now. And he says, I have inscribed you. This is Isaiah chapter 49, verse 16. I have inscribed you on the palm of my hands, and your walls are continually before me. God knows who you are. You might be in New York City, and you don't feel safe getting on the subway, but God knows where you are, and God knows who you are, and God has inscribed you on his hand, and he's with you now and forever. Thank you so much. God bless you.